This is Malaysia. It's the 66th largest country in the world and the 5th largest economy in Southeast Asia, bordering 4 other countries and also occupying some of the most important waterways in the world, being located on both the South China Sea and the Strait of Malacca, 2 crucial shipping lanes which have become of incredible strategic importance. This advantageous geographical position has made it a rapidly growing hub for trade and investment, as billions of dollars have been pouring into a few specific areas of the country. This can clearly be seen on this map here, which shows the economic output of each of Malaysia's regions, where we can see GDP is heavily concentrated here, here, and here. And this is partly driven by a new phenomenon which is spreading across the country: the tech centre boom. Global tech giants are rushing to set up shop and invest in Malaysia, and in the last 2 years this has picked up at an incredible speed. Nvidia, Microsoft and Google have all pledged a combined $8.5 billion to create new data centres and factories across the country. And it's not just limited to American firms. European and Chinese companies have also rushed to expand their presence. And this has been part of a wider push by the Malaysian government as part of a scheme called the Digital Economy Blueprint. Essentially, this is a broader plan looking to transform Malaysia into the Silicon Valley of the East, especially as some companies are looking to de-risk and move away from Taiwan in light of potential future conflicts. Malaysia is very optimistic about this, and in July 2024, their Prime Minister Anwar announced his plans to raise over $100 billion to transform its semiconductor chip industry to turn the nation into a design production hub. This is good news for Malaysia. Like Singapore, both countries were once colonies of the British Empire, but as we know, despite starting from a similar point, Singapore went on to far surpass the economic and political growth of Malaysia in just 1 generation. But with this sudden influx of foreign money, Malaysia is hoping that now is their time and wants to capitalise on the rush to become a high-tech global economy, similar to South Korea or Japan. In the last few years, Malaysia has recorded some of the highest growth rates, not just in Asia, but in the entire world, with a pandemic recovery partly fueled by rapid investment. But aside from this, Malaysia has also been developing some of its domestic industries, and it's well placed to keep growing rapidly for the next century. So let's take a look at why Malaysia is finally becoming rich, and what this means. Before we start, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Enquiries. If you use the internet as much as me, then your data will have ended up all around the web when you make online purchases or create accounts. And what's worse is that there are data brokers who are collecting, analysing and selling your data to buyers all over the planet. Which is a problem because when so many organisations are passing around your data, it makes it easier for someone to sneak in and steal it. I've had my data stolen in the past, and trust me, it's not fun. It involves a lot of time and endless hassle trying to fix it. There are specific websites where people can directly find your information, and all someone needs to do is input your name and get access to sensitive information such as your address, phone numbers, employment, and even information on your children. And while these services make promises not to use them for things such as stalking or harassment, there's little that they can do to enforce that, which is why Enquiries is such an important service, as it reaches out to these data brokers and on your behalf requests your personal data to be removed and deals with any objection from their side. This process is 100% automated, and all you have to do is create an account and grant them access to work on your behalf, and then kick back and watch as your data disappears from the web. It really is that easy, and all you need to do is visit enquiries.com/invisiblehand and use the code InvisibleHand at checkout to get 60% off an annual plan. Check the link in the description to get started. Like many other countries in Southeast Asia, Malaysia has a colonial past. Britain first took control of Penang in 1786, before becoming a formal crown colony in 1876, later taking control of parts of northern Borneo. And it remained this way for many years, until Britain surrendered the colony and the official state of Malaysia was formed in 1963. At the time of its independence, Malaysia had a number of economic advantages over its regional neighbours, as it was among the world's leading producers of 3 valuable commodities: rubber, tin and palm oil, and was also a significant producer of iron ore. and these export industries gave the Malayan government a healthy surplus to invest in industrial development and infrastructure projects, placing an emphasis on education, focusing on increasing the spread of education as opposed to higher quality. Given around this time Malaysia was on par with South Korea in terms of GDP per capita, questions are often asked about why Malaysia didn't have as rapid a rise. And this has a couple of different reasons, but it's partly because in its early years of independence, Malaysia, like some of its neighbouring countries, favoured policies of import substitution, protecting non-competitive domestic industries as opposed to opening up for more trade. This protected domestic jobs in the short run, but by comparison, South Korea and Taiwan, who had opened up their economy from the beginning, were able to build up far stronger industrial sectors, placing them in a better position for the first tech boom of the 1980s. Despite the recent phenomenon, Malaysia actually first developed its tech industry in the 1970s by establishing semiconductor plants in Penang and attracting foreign investment. But through a combination of less targeted investment and lower levels of research and development spending, it did not see as rapid a rise as some other Asian economies. By the 1980s, Malaysia was looking to imitate the rapidly growing Asian tiger economies by further transitioning from an economy of mining and agriculture to one of manufacturing. Exports became the primary growth engine of the country, and economic growth was very consistent. Despite a few dips in the 90s, throughout the late 20th and early 21st century, growth continued through a series of 5-year plans which boosted the country's infrastructure, education, and public service provision. Meaning today Malaysia stands as a fast-growing export-oriented economy, with a relatively low national income tax, highly affordable local food and transport, as well as a fully subsidised single-payer public healthcare system. And in terms of quality of life indicators, Malaysia ranks as the second best country to live in Southeast Asia, just behind Singapore, but far ahead of some of its other rivals. And by maintaining a highly open economy, Malaysia is now well positioned to take advantage of this sudden tech boom and get rich. Malaysia has recently recorded an incredible surge in foreign investment, with a record $69 billion entering the country in 2023, marking a 23% increase from the previous year. Investment in Southeast Asia is not new, but Malaysia is emerging as a top destination for a few different reasons. Firstly, Malaysia offers a well-educated and importantly English-speaking workforce, which is critical for business operations. And over the last 20 years, the country's education system has emphasised science, technology, engineering and maths subjects, having one of the highest levels of STEM graduates globally and producing a pool of skilled professionals ready to meet the demands of high-tech firms expanding into the country. And compared with neighbouring Singapore, these workers offer a cost-effective alternative, as median wages are more than 5 times less than in the neighbouring country. Malaysia is also becoming an increasingly attractive destination for migration of highly skilled individuals, due to its low cost of living and high quality of life. In 2023, a total of 154,000 expat passes were granted, marking the highest number since 2018, and this is only expected to grow, helping to further boost the economy. Another one of Malaysia's key advantages is its infrastructure, which is on the whole far better than some of its neighbours. For example, Indonesia. Malaysia has a well-developed highway network and modern industrial parks, which facilitate efficient transportation and reduced operational costs for businesses. In contrast, setting up shop in Indonesia is much harder due to its vast geography, underdeveloped road networks, and far fewer ready-to-move-in industrial parks, complicating logistics for companies operating there. Malaysia's location in Southeast Asia also offers an enormous advantage, as it's positioned near major global trade routes in the Malacca Strait, one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Malaysia is within easy reach of its key markets in East Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East, so companies can cut down on transportation time and costs. Also boasting several world-class ports, including Port Klang and the port of Tanjung Pelepas, which are major transshipment hubs for the region. These ports are equipped with state-of-the-art facilities and offer efficient cargo handling, making them attractive for global trade and logistics operations. It also offers another edge over its competitors. While Taiwan is a major player in the tech industry and boasts a technological advantage, it also faces significant geopolitical risks due to its complex relationship with China. And the ongoing tensions between the two countries have posed a potential threat to stability and security in the region, which has been a concern for some investors who are now seeking a strategic geographical realignment. In contrast, Malaysia offers a much more stable geopolitical environment, and although it's not without its own challenges, it does not face the same level of external threat as in Taiwan. Outside of investment, domestically, Malaysia is also poised to do well due to its relatively high levels of productivity. This is the efficiency with which goods and services are produced in an economy using inputs like capital and labour. And Malaysia exhibits higher productivity levels compared to some of its Southeast Asian neighbours, particularly Indonesia, Vietnam and the Philippines, with the third highest levels of labour productivity within the Asian region, making it an attractive alternative destination as companies can get a better return on their investment. That being said, productivity in Malaysia still ranks below the industrial powerhouses of Korea and Taiwan. Total factor productivity, or TFP, is used to measure the efficiency of inputs like labour. And between 1970 and 2016, Taiwan was around 5 times and South Korea 3 times more efficient when it came to using inputs compared to Malaysia, indicating a significant gap in technological advancement and efficiency. As we saw before, part of this is due to the fact that South Korea and Taiwan both had more established industrial sectors to start with, but this gap is still lagging today, meaning Malaysia still has to invest significantly more in things like research and development to close this gap. And this is part of the reason why Malaysia has never been able to keep up with other advanced economies, being caught in something called the middle income trap. This is a situation where a country, after achieving a certain level of income, experiences a slowdown in growth and struggles to transition to a high-income economy. This is because any increases in wages reduce their competitive price edge when it comes to manufacturing, and they are still not able to compete with existing high-tech economies. For Malaysia, escaping this middle income trap requires a few different strategies, including more R&D spending, enhancing the education system, and strengthening institutions and improving governance to ensure efficient implementation of growth policies. The good news is that Malaysia is already doing many of these things and can likely overcome the middle income trap, but this won't happen on its own. Malaysia's economy is not without its problems. Public debt has risen over the last decade, and the country is still incredibly dependent on oil and gas revenues to finance other areas of its economy. That being said, what it's shown recently is a massive step in the right direction, and it's already starting to reap some of the rewards, with the hope being that this can continue for many years to come.